Okay, if you've ever worked in a pizza kitchen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That beautiful, beautiful chaos of a dinner rush. But what if that chaos is actually costing you more than just your sanity? Today, we're going to dive into how to bring order, clarity, and, some real confidence back to your kitchen. We're talking about turning that total mayhem into some serious momentum. You know this quote from the legendary coach Lou Holtz? It just hits the nail on the head. He says, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it." And for a pizza shop, that load, well, that's the Friday night flood of orders, right? The problem isn't that you have a ton of pizzas to make. The real problem is the system, or, the lack of one, that you're using to carry that load. Think about it. The dinner rush doesn't knock. It just kicks the door down. Orders are flying in from everywhere. You've got online, walk-ins, the phone is ringing off the hook, the delivery apps are pinging, the details are just piling up. Extra cheese here, no olives there. Wait, one Hawaiian instead of a pepperoni? And before you know it, someone's order is wrong and the pressure is just on. It's a feeling every single person in the pizza world knows. Right. Let's talk about that peak hours scramble. That time when it feels like everything is happening all at once. It's stressful, it's high stakes, and for pizzeria owners, it's pretty much a nightly trial by fire. And, this constant juggling acts, it starts to feel normal, right? But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. I know mistakes might seem totally inevitable when you're that busy, but there are much, much smarter ways to manage this, let's call it controlled chaos, without ever slowing your team down. So why do these mistakes actually happen? Let's get right to the root cause. And let me be super clear about this. Your team isn't careless. They're just overwhelmed. When things go wrong, it is almost always a sign of a broken system, not a failing team. The chaos you see, that's just a symptom. It's not the disease itself. Okay, let's look at one of the biggest culprits right here. That smudged, handwritten ticket. I mean, come on, is that half pepperoni or no pepperoni? Who knows? It's a total gamble every time. They're hard to read, they're easy to lose. Now, compare that to a clean, digital order right on a screen. There's zero ambiguity, no guesswork, just pure clarity. And then there's communication, another classic failure point. Let's be real, kitchens are loud. You've got ovens humming, people talking. Any instructions shouted across the room, they get distorted, they get forgotten completely. Now imagine instead that the order just appears right on screen at the prep table. The message is always crystal clear, and it's always right there when you need it. And the list goes on, right? You've got multiple unsynced order channels, forcing your staff to guess what to make first. You've got all those confusing special requests. And then there's the lack of clear roles. Who's on toppings right now? Who's working the oven? You add all that up, and it is a perfect recipe for disaster. Now, you might be thinking, a wrong pizza? It's not a big deal, just remake it. But those little system failures, they create mistakes that have a hidden price tag. And trust me, it adds up way faster than you think. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the real cost of just one single error. First up, the most obvious one, wasted ingredients. Every single time an order has to be remade, you're tossing perfectly good cheese, dough, and toppings straight into the trash. That isn't just food waste, folks. You're literally throwing money away one pizza at a time. Then you've got the cost of wasted time, which during a rush is honestly even more valuable. Think about it. While one person is busy remaking that messed up order, they are not working on the next 5 orders in line. It creates this massive bottleneck that just ripples through the entire kitchen, and suddenly every single other order is delayed. And let's not forget the human cost, which is huge. All that constant pressure, the finger pointing, the stress of always feeling like you're falling behind, it leads straight to staff burnout. And what does burnout mean? It means higher turnover. And high turnover is incredibly expensive and just so disruptive for any business. And finally, what about your customers? Yeah, one mistake, maybe they'll forgive you. But 2, 3, that's how you lose a regular customer for good. And even worse, that's what leads to those negative online reviews that can seriously damage a reputation you've worked so hard to build. Because at the end of the day, trust is your most valuable currency in this business. Every single mistake, no matter how small it seems, just chips away at that trust. Not just with your customers, but just as importantly, within your own team. Okay, so now we understand the true cost of all this chaos, let's talk about the solution. And this is not about telling your team to work harder or faster. No way. It's about giving them smarter tools that actually eliminate mistakes without piling on more stress. The goal here is actually really simple. We want to eliminate all the guesswork. A modern integrated system, It becomes your single source of truth. All the orders, I don't care if they're from dine-in, online, or some third-party app, they all flow into one single organized, prioritized line. And that gives your team absolute clarity on what to do next.
So let's look at how this actually looks in practice. It's something called a kitchen display system, or KDS for short. And yeah, it's those screens we were hinting at earlier. A KDS tracks an order through every single step of the journey. So everyone on the team can see what's being prepped, what's in the oven, and what's ready for pickup. This kind of total visibility, it's an absolute game changer.
You see, when your tools are doing the heavy lifting, all the organizing and clarifying, your team is free to do what they do best, make amazing pizza. It completely transforms their experience. They go from feeling constantly swamped and overwhelmed to feeling focused, organized, and confident, even during the craziest rush. Now, technology is only half the battle here. You can have the absolute best system in the world, but if you don't have the right training to go with it, all that potential is just wasted. And listen, I'm not talking about handing everyone a boring manual that makes their eyes glaze over. Nobody wants that. No, training that actually works is practical and hands-on. Like, try doing some short rush hour simulations when things are slow. Throw a few really complex orders with tricky modifiers into the system. It helps build that muscle memory. Or define super clear rule-based workflows before every shift, so everyone knows exactly where they're supposed to be. No confusion. And hey, when you're choosing a system in the first place, make sure it's intuitive, something a new hire can pick up in an afternoon, not a whole week. All right, to bring this all together, let's look at a simple, actionable checklist. Think of this as your roadmap, your practical guide to taking your kitchen from a state of total panic to an absolute powerhouse of efficiency. Let's run through it real quick. Instead of those messy handwritten tickets that just cause errors, use a kitchen display system. Instead of juggling a dozen different tablets and printers, sync all your channels into one system. Instead of shouting unclear special requests, use clear digital modifiers on every single ticket. And instead of having confused roles, assign them before every busy shift. Simple. And that really brings us to our final thought here. Look, at the end of the day, a pizza kitchen is always going to be loud and full of energy. That's part of the magic, right? But it doesn't have to be messy. So I'll just leave you with this question. If your current system isn't actually making life easier for your team, maybe it's time to rethink it. What's one small change you could make, even this week, to bring just a little more clarity to your kitchen?